China's new water-saving technology will save Africa's water crisis. Rwanda used to be the most backward and chaotic country in Africa. But now, with the help of China, it is becoming the cleanest and safest country in Africa. In today's episode, you are going to be amazed by how Africa's water crisis is going to be resolved by China's new water-saving technology. As soon as you step into the city of Rwanda, you can see that the streets and buildings have been cleaned very carefully. In an interview between 2020 and 2022, the President of Rwanda said that it is crazy that some Americans have moved to Rwanda at this time because the country is so beautiful, peaceful, and independent. China wants to help us and sees things from our point of view. So they are trying to figure out what we want. They overcame hard problems with the help of China, which stood by their side and gave them the most help and support it could. The rest of the world thinks this is a debt trap, but everyone in Rwanda knows that China helped them get ahead and brought them back from the dead. Now Rwanda is starting a new era. So how did Rwanda use China's power to rise in 2019, when there was an epidemic of new crowned pneumonia and people in Rwanda had to stay home? Water is an important tool for fighting the epidemic, but clean water sources are far away, and people with disabilities, like the elderly, have to use dirty water from swamps, which can cause diarrhea and other diseases. When the new crown epidemic started, it was already bad in Rwanda, and no other country was willing to risk sending people to help. So President Kagame reached out to China at a very important time, because he thought that only China could help them solve the problem. China sent a team of doctors to Rwanda to treat people there for free. They also agreed to pay $5.76 million to dig 200 wells for Rwanda. In 2020, President Kagame thinks that China won't say no to them. When the global epidemic was bad, China helped 83 countries, such as Germany, Serbia, Iraq, Africa, France, and South Korea. The Export-Import Bank gives all the money in the form of loans. Once Rwanda's economy has settled down, it will be time to pay back the Bank of China. The wells are in 11 different districts in the oriental and southern provinces of the country. With a well, you can get clean water all the time. The fact that schools and hospitals have well water, it is more important to the people there than gold. The wells were made so that people could get clean water. People have access to water that is safe to drink, can wash their hands, and even have enough water to clean. They no longer need to buy bottled water in case of an emergency. Now, every person in Rwanda has access to a well within 500 meters of their home that will provide clean water for at least 20 years. Since Rwanda has a severe water shortage and its leaders have already done a lot for the country, but now the question is, why doesn't the government dig its own wells? Rwanda is a landlocked country. It is in Central and Eastern Africa on the East African Plateau, which makes it landlocked. The average height of the country is 1,600 meters. Rwanda has a population of about 12.9 million people, and the land area of the country is about 26,000 square kilometers. Rwanda is in Africa, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Tanzania, and Burundi are its neighbors. Even though Africa has a lot of groundwater, with 100 times as much as surface water, many Africans still don't have enough to drink. During the dry season, they have to walk tens of kilometers, carrying buckets on their heads to find water. In fact, many Africans already use well water, and drilling wells is part of China's aid program. But in places like Rwanda, where water is very scarce, there is still a need for more well drilling. First of all, it is hard to dig wells in places where there isn't much water, because it is hard to find sources of water. But Rwanda's technology for digging wells isn't as advanced as it is in other countries, so it's hard to find the underground water source. Even though Rwanda has a lot of groundwater, it is not spread out evenly across the country. In some places, you have to go hundreds of meters below the surface to find water. Because of this, people often have to walk a few kilometers to get clean water to drink. Now, though, they can get clean water whenever they want, because they have wells. Also, they can use the water to water crops and help agriculture in a big way. China helped them, so they owe China a lot of thanks. China not only drilled wells in the area, but it also helped build infrastructure and airport roads, which helped ease traffic in Oriental Province and allowed cities in Rwanda to grow quickly. In fact, leaders are very important to the growth and development of their countries. Since the first day, President Kagame of Rwanda has thought that the Western model of development is not right for the poor country of Rwanda, but that the Chinese model is the best hope for Rwanda and even the rise of the whole country. So soon after he took office, he started working to build diplomatic ties with China so that he could learn from China, copy China, and work with China. Rwanda thinks that agriculture is the basis of all other economic activities, so it started to redistribute land within the country to its farmers and has asked agricultural experts from China to help guide them. People in Rwanda no longer have to worry about going hungry, and as agricultural development stabilized, they were able to make a decent living from farming, thanks to the country's rapidly growing agricultural sector. Logan decided to set up the industries that would be needed to build roads if China gave money for the project. Kagame sealed a lot of orders that went to China, letting China help Rwanda build many kinds of infrastructure like roads and bridges. Southern Rwanda has benefited from the company's Global Link Highway, which has cut the time it takes to get from one region to another from 3 hours to less than 40 minutes. Before the highway was finished, it took 3 hours to drive across the country. China's infrastructure has linked the roads between Rwanda's cities. This has helped the country's economy to grow at full speed with China's help. Rwanda improved their healthcare, education, and public safety. This made it possible for more children, even in remote areas, to go to school. In Africa, Rwanda's fast economic growth over the past few years has been one of the most impressive things to see. Rwanda's economy has grown at an average rate of more than 8% per year for more than 10 years. This rate has stayed the same, which makes the country's economic growth something of a miracle. In 2021, China's exports to Rwanda was worth a total of $335.12 million, a rise of $52.58 million compared to the same time period in 2020, an increase of 18.6% year-on-year, a drop of 24.9%. China sends many things to Rwanda, including machinery and electronics, clothes, building materials, food, and more. Most of the things China buys from Rwanda are agricultural products, like minerals, coffee, tea, chile, and stevia. China also buys animal products like animal skins. As a sort of payment back, China lets the country export about 97% of its goods to China duty-free at the moment. If Rwanda finds something valuable, like ores, the country plans to sell them to China first. But as the country works to mine its resources, it has found that it needs better ways to move people and goods around. China is willing to help build bridges, smelters, and other important pieces of infrastructure. This could come in the form of loans with low interest rates or help building infrastructure. In other words, this is another example of a project where everyone benefits from working together. At the moment, there are more than 100 Chinese businesses in Rwanda. These businesses have helped Rwanda solve many employment problems. Because of these Chinese companies, Rwanda's GDP has grown by 13 times in the last 20 years, and the happiness index of its people is also the highest in Africa. At this point, it's not too much of a stretch to call the fact that Rwanda is clean and safe a miracle. This is especially true of their capital, Kigali, which has a nice climate, is clean, and has good security. It's known as the safest capital in Africa, and it's so beautiful that it will leave you speechless. Rwanda is very clean, and its capital, Kigali, has a nice climate, is clean, and has good security. It is known as the safest capital in Africa. China continues to teach the country new things. After building a lot of infrastructure and making a lot of water wells, it has also made a lot of tourism projects. China has saved all of Africa here, and we hope that people from all parts of Africa can get jobs in rich countries as soon as possible. That's all. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to like and subscribe to our channel and ring the bell icon to get more videos.